It's literally snowing outside and it's spring break. What is up, trainers? And welcome back to a Pokemon Trainer Caleb video. I think the best part about talking to other people who game is finding out their origin story. Finding out what it was that got them into gaming and what made them fall in love with it in the first place. If you ask someone like my little brother, he's probably going to tell you Minecraft, because that was the game that fully immersed him for the first time and got him into the entire concept altogether. But if you ask someone like my grandpa, yeah, my grandpa likes to game, it's pretty cool. He'll tell you about discovering the original Legend of Zelda on the NES. But we all still love it just the same, no matter what game we were introduced to. So today, I thought it would be really cool to share with you guys my nostalgic childhood gaming memories. When I think back, I honestly don't think that there was a time when video games weren't ever in my life. I would just watch other people play games. Like, my dad would play Final Fantasy VII a lot, but I never actually had a system as I was way too young for them. But I used to spend a lot of time at my grandpa's house, and my grandpa had an N64. Now, even though my grandpa does like to play video games, he doesn't like to play a huge range of video games. So we only had a few games on the N64. And one of those games was Zelda Ocarina of Time. For so many people, this was their first game or their first Zelda game. Same thing with myself. Whenever I would go over to my grandpa's house, I'd play on this game. But imagine, I was really young. So I didn't really I probably couldn't even read any dialogue whatsoever. So I had no idea what the main goal of the game was. I honestly thought that the entirety of this game was in Kokiri Forest because I didn't know how to get out of it. For hours, I would just run around Kokiri Forest and I would be totally content. But don't worry, eventually I beat it, but it wasn't for many years until I actually had my own N64. This is the first game I truly remember playing by myself. When I first discovered Pokemon, I discovered them because my older cousin Jacob had a Game Boy and he would play Red, Gold, and Silver, but because of the one save file thing, obviously we were never allowed to touch those. So I would just get to, look over his shoulder and watch him play, which was fine. But the first Pokemon games I ever got to play were Pokemon Stadium. The reason why I remember Pokemon Stadium so much was because of the minigames. The minigames were so much fun growing up, and me and my cousins would get in straight up competitions about who was better. Being the minigame champion was a really big deal back then. I think, too, what is so funny is, these games have aged so well. I remember playing them in kindergarten, and I still play them with my friends today. And these games are the reason that I love Pokemon so much in the first place. Super Mario 64. Let's just take a moment to bask in its glory. Now, the reason why this one is just so nostalgic for me is when I played it, I was in kindergarten. I don't know if anybody else has done this. If you have, please leave a comment. But how many people didn't know how to save the game so that they would just turn the TV off and leave the N64 on all day? Well, that's what I did every single day. And I did it because my older cousin, he didn't want me and our other cousin, his little sister, to be in his room playing on his stuff when he was at school. But because we were in kindergarten, we had half days. So every single day after school, we would race home to beat Jacob and play as much as Super Mario 64 as we could while it was on because we didn't know how to save it. If you've never played this game before, the first boss you encounter is a giant bomb, and all you have to do is punch him, grab him, and throw him down on the ground 3 times, and that's it. Super Mario 64 was the game where I defeated my first boss. I didn't know exactly what I was doing in Super Mario 64, but I just thought it was so much fun to run around the game regardless. For the longest time, I didn't know how to defeat the boss. I would go up to the top platform, and he would just throw me off, and that would be that, and I just kind of run around the game. Well, to this day, I still remember the very first time that I beat the boss, and he exploded, and that gold star shot right out of him. Mario Kart 64. To this day, I still consider myself a very good Mario Kart player, and I still get extremely competitive. This all started because of Mario Kart 64 back when I was in kindergarten, second grade. And the controls seem really kind of lame. It's really hard to control your kart, and for some reason you're just like, why even bother with this? I'm just gonna play Mario Kart on the Wii. But with the controls, that's what I think what made it so great, is that it really was challenging. If you made a wrong turn, you were gonna hit the wall, and you were gonna not get first place, and you were gonna be super mad about it. It taught you extreme skill. To play Mario Kart 64, you had to have skill. And with as many hours as we put into this game, you bet we had skill. Nothing felt better than hitting someone with a green shell when they were in first place and you were trying to come up behind them. Toad was always my main guy, and to this day he still is. When I play a game where I can't be Toad, I get pretty upset about it because Toad handles like a boss, right? Who else's main Mario Kart character is Toad? Another game I wanted to talk about is Yoshi's Story. Now, if you've never played Yoshi's Story, you should, because it's really, really cool. But the reason it holds such nostalgic value for me, it was actually the first game that I ever beat all by myself. And boy, did it take me some time. Yoshi's Story is in the form of a storybook with a lot of different pages. And each page is like a different theme, but they all have their little different levels. I thought you had to complete every single one. I didn't know you just had to do one to get to the next page, to get to the next page, to get to the next page, to beat the game. In order to beat the game, you have to have at least one Yoshi left. I think you start out with maybe 8 colored Yoshis. I would try to beat every single level, so I would always run out of my Yoshis, and I never actually got to see the ending. I would get so frustrated that I wasn't beating the game with all the time that I was putting into it. But eventually, I did beat the game. And I beat every single level with all of my Yoshis. And I didn't even understand that that was a hard feat to accomplish. And for a long time, I didn't even understand that that wasn't how you could complete the game. Years later, I borrowed it from a friend, and I literally finished the game within like 20 minutes. As a child, I had put so much time and effort into that game that I couldn't believe that you really can beat the game in under 30 minutes. Light Blue Yoshi is my favorite Yoshi because he has cute little purple shoes. If you want to share any of your nostalgic gaming memories, please leave them in the comments. I do love to read them, and I do find it super interesting to see how other people fell in love with gaming. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit that like button, and I will see you guys tomorrow.